Welcome to the Women's Fitness and Health Revolution podcast. There is so much noise on the interweb these days about what women should and shouldn't be doing when it comes to their fitness and health. Not only is it all too often tied to shame and fixing our bodies, it can also be incredibly detrimental to our health and wellness overall. The Women's Fitness and Health Revolution podcast sorts through the BS and offers advice and actionable tactile steps to support and build a better relationship to your amazing body through every stage of womanhood. It aims to break the cycle of keeping women in the dark about their extraordinary machines and revolutionize the way we move, eat, and live so that our daughters and our daughters' daughters look in the mirror and feel exactly what they are: fierce, beautiful, and capable of everything. The revolution starts here. Hello, and welcome to the Women's Fitness and Health Revolution podcast. Coach Kinsey here, and as always, I am just so excited to dive in to today's topic. I have been keeping a running list over the past couple of months of fitness myths that I cannot wait to B to the U to the S to the T to the bust out of here. And today is going to be the first of probably many myth-busting episodes, because let's be real, the interweb gives me a lot of opportunities to bust some wild myths about our health and our fitness, nutrition, etc., etc. Today specifically, fitness. Life these days, before I jump in, just a little quick update, has been BANANAS in like the best way possible. Just a lot of really good stuff going on. And as a result, some of the things that I am able to put a little more time into, I have not had that same extra time on the side. So today is one of those things where normally I like to sit down and really heavily script an episode, but because we're busting myths that are just, like I said, pure shenanigans, I am going to do more of like a bullet point outline style, just so you have a little bit of behind the scenes action here. But what that means for you is I have 3 myths that I'm going to bust, but I'm going to be mindful of the time. And because I'm going off script, you know I can talk. So if it starts to go a little long, we might only get to 2 of them, but gosh, oh golly, we are going to get into it. I cannot wait, because these are some that I wrote right away on this list because they are deeply based on things that I have heard from clients for the last decade. And now that I'm back in a studio teaching, because I took a year to just coach online, which has been amazingly wonderful. But now that I'm more ingrained in an in-person studio, getting 20, 40, 60 folks a day, I hear a lot of the current myths, which, surprise, surprise, end up being things that have sort of been said for a very long time. And it's just time that we blow them out of the water. And like I said, interweb does a great job of spreading its own myths. So let's chat about our first myth that we are going to bust. And this one felt particularly relevant because it is something that I didn't really honor in my own life for a very long time. And that is the idea that I will get better results, quote unquote, if I do more. We always should be doing more, whether that's working out more or cutting more calories or moving more, all these things. We live in this world of more. We need to do more work. We need more stuff. We need more money. We need to lose more weight. Like I said, it's just constant more-ness. And what I have found personally in my life, and I know a lot of folks who have had similar experiences, is that this constant chasing of more, and now I'm going to talk specifically of fitness, but also not about fitness, this constant state of more often than not, I'm going to just comfortably say 99.9% of the time leads to burnout, right? We handle it well for a pretty long time, and then slowly, almost in a way, it starts creeping up on us until it smacks us in the face, and suddenly we're burnt out. We're done. And it's today I was listening to Fertility Friday, which is a podcast that I love and adore. Highly recommend checking it out. And she was interviewing the authors of a book called Wise Power, and they were speaking about menopause transition and sort of the spiritual side of what it means to seasonally go through our life as young women and get our first period and then mature into our like 20s, which they were saying is like our spring, 30s being our summer, which, I love seasons. We'll talk about that in an upcoming episode. But they were saying, both as women who were in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, they were saying how relevant it is that in those 20s and 30s, we are able just to go, both internally and externally. That's the messaging we get. But that catches up to us like crazy in our 40s and 50s, and how just the nature of cyclical living, eventually you have to pay the piper, right? So that is the case. We can feel like we're on top of the world, invincible, and then out of nowhere, bam, we're burnt out. We've got nothing else to give. And like I said, that really stuck with me because it's certainly true in my own story. I'm grateful I hit burnout much earlier than my 40s, but I'm still constantly recognizing where I'm pushing my limit. So that was one thing. Like last week, like I said, I took a little break on some things that I normally do. And it certainly rings true to me when I see people in the fitness space, because there is this belief that if we can work out more and work out more and cut more calories, that we are going to be fitter. Especially people get stuck with this, I need to lose more weight, whatever the case is. And then, we lose that weight that we're looking for, and generally it doesn't stop there, right? We're suddenly stuck on this, like, well, now I need to lose just a little bit more. Like that was good, but I still don't feel comfortable in my body. And on top of this constantly putting our body in a state of stress, it also really removes us from the present moment with our body and our health. As long as we're chasing that more, we can never be present with the gains we've made, so we can't appreciate all the good things that we've done for our body. And then as we continue to tip more and more into this state of more, we are so disconnected that it's hard for us to realize when we have gotten sort of in the danger territory with our bodies. And the reason this is a myth is, like I said, it totally takes us out of our body, and we're putting our body under constant states of stress. But the big one physiologically is that it really fudges with our adrenal and our hormones. So one of the hormones that it can really, remember that working out and slashing calories are both external stressors. Good stressors, especially exercise, you know how I feel about calorie restriction. If you are working with a practitioner and it's something that you need for your health, get on with your bad self, sister. But for most of us, a lot of people I know are chronically undereating or chronically undereating the macros they need. So I'm just going to stick with exercise being a very good stressor, but too much of a stressor is still a big stressor. And when we have high levels of cortisol from things like work and home life, maybe we're parents, maybe we have parents who are sick, maybe we've gotten a new job, maybe we're students, whatever the case is, we probably are already operating at a pretty high level. So adding exercise on, we want to be really careful about how and when we tack on more exercise, right? Because we are adding stress into our life. And to a certain degree, that might be really cathartic. We'll have a place that we can go get stronger, take care of ourselves, really lean into me time. But if we let that stress get too high, one of the things, cortisol, for example, can actually cause us, if weight gain is what you're constantly chasing more of, it'll actually cause us to gain weight around the midsection and to retain weight. And it goes into sort of this fight or flight mode, which is counterproductive to weight loss goals, but also really bad for our overall hormonal health, which is at the base of our entire health. And I talked about this in my history app that I did for my birthday, like my own personal history, but I used to definitely be a practitioner of more, right? I thought that if I could get a couple workouts in a day and cut my calories, that all of my problems will be solved. But what that led to was massive burnout. Not only did I just not get stronger because my body's output was suffering greatly from being underfed and underrested. I started losing hair. I had wacky periods. I was bloated. I was angry. And since I've been listening to my body and really learning a lot more about my body and balancing my life in many ways, and especially as I'm looking at preparing my body for perimenopause, the last thing I want to do is stress my body out even more. And now that I can really understand when my body needs to relax, like last week, really busy week, I took 3 full rest days, and that was exactly what I needed. And because I've created this relationship with my body, my anxiety is better. I'm getting much stronger than I've ever been before. I'm faster than I've ever been before. I'm a happier person who, get this, has energy for life outside of fitness, which is crazy, right? Like, that's the big thing too. When we're constantly chasing more, one of the things about being present, even outside of being present with our body, is we are constantly thinking of, oh, I probably shouldn't eat that, or oh, I should have worked out more, or did I really earn enough calories to like have this meal? And so here we are sitting at meals with our family where we could potentially be creating these beautiful memories, but all we can focus on are the calories in the dinner roll on our plate. And this is no shame, because this is how I spent much of my life, but what a bummer memory to create instead of that moment we had with our loved ones. And this, especially when we start off, I think there's this tendency, because we're also getting excited. We're finally feeling like we're doing things that are taking care of our body. A lot of times we start to feel really good when we start working out and eating in a more mindful manner. Oftentimes, if we haven't moved our bodies in the way that we're moving them, we do see things like weight loss. So we start to think, oh my gosh, this is working. If I do more of it, it'll work even harder. And that really is something that I want to just call out right away. That's a myth. More is not better, especially when we're starting out. Remember, these are stressors. Our bodies need time to recover. They need time to adapt. They need just as much rest as they're getting attack mode. So really, and I said this a lot in, we deep dive in episode 27 of how often should I be working out, which I 10 out of 10 recommend go listening to. But if you are new to fitness or newly back, 3 days a week, 2 to 3 is a total sweet spot. I mean, obviously, you know, I love encouraging you to move more throughout your day in just an organic way, whether it's walking or standing, whatever it is, just moving our body more. But in terms of like strength training and get into the gym, 2 to 3 days per week is all you need. And that's going to be what sustains your body going forward. Because the other big thing about more, and we'll talk about this in the next myth as well, if we're thinking about fitness as a lifetime, which you know I love to, because that's what I want for you, it is going to be really hard to imagine keeping fitness in your life if we think of fitness as something we have to do every day. Eventually, we start to resent the fact that we, quote unquote, have to do it. We dread it because we're feeling tired all the time. And so now we're like, oh, I have to work out. And that's where you start to see people falling off, because they've created this rule for themselves that fitness needs to be an everyday sort of thing. And if they can't keep it up, then what's the point? And that's simply not the case. So more fitness and more calorie slashing is not the answer to overall health. Myth busted. Second myth, and maybe the last myth, because like I said, I want to keep this one a little bit shorter. I should feel dead after every workout. And this, y'all, was early on my list because it was a hard one for me to unwrap my brain around. I literally thought if I was not on the floor gasping for air, I was not going to get any benefit of any kind. So when I started strength training, and like real strength training, like going 3 to 8 reps with 2 to 5 minute breaks, I was like, wait a minute. It was hard for me to trust that was doing anything. I literally had to have lived experience of being like, oh, I'm getting stronger. My body comp is changing. My weights are going up, because it was just such a mind F that I was able to take so much rest, and I would finish most of my strength training sessions feeling just not like I had done nothing, but like they were hard in the moment, obviously, because you're pushing weight, but they didn't wreck me for the rest of my day. And I've since seen that in the last 10 plus years of clients and members asking the same thing, especially when we move into strength training together, things saying like, I didn't really get that sweaty, or my heart rate didn't get that high, or I don't feel like dying. Is that okay? Heck yes, that's amazing. It means that you are strong enough to support these workouts. That's what we want to feel, right? Because once in a while, it's fine to feel dead, but all the time, it shouldn't wreck us. If we're constantly feeling so zapped from our workout that we have no energy for the rest of our day, or like our bodies are never going to recover, it's actually an indication that we probably need to pull back on our training. There's always a million variables that can go into anything, but that is usually a pretty darn good place to start. We're either going way too hard, maybe we're not taking enough rest breaks during our training, maybe we're doing too much of one style of training. That was me doing HIIT classes all the time. And listen, I love HIIT. I think high intensity interval training is a great part of a fitness regimen, but it's not the only part that we should be focusing on. Also, a lot of times when we overtrain, it ends up affecting our sleep. And it's kind of like that snake eating its own tail, right? We overexercise and we don't sleep well. And so then we come to our exercises under-rested and we start to feel dead, but we push ourselves anyway. And then we sleep even worse, right? So it just perpetuates this negative cycle of feeling crappy after our workouts and then not being able to fully recover in our sleep because we've overtaxed our nervous system. Because remember, again, that strength days, and that's the one that I drive home every time. If you're doing nothing else, I want you lifting weights and getting stronger. That is our body armor that protects us as we get ready for perimenopause and through menopause for the rest of our life. And those are the days where we take those big rests between set. We need that ATP, that energy within our muscles to reset, to come back online to recover. We're also hopefully doing a really solid warm-up, warming up the muscles that we're going to be using in our lifts and cooling down the muscles so that we're not going into our days super tight. And just before I move on a little bit, when we're talking about huge spikes in consistency, especially with things like wearables, we rely a lot on seeing our heart rate go up. And when we look at our total calories burned, I'm air quoting here, total calories burned, it's based on how high our heart rate went, right? But when we're strength training, our heart rates really shouldn't spike because we're taking those big rest breaks. Every once in a while, sometimes with legs, I'll get a spike in my heart rate because those puppies are big muscles and those days can be very hard, but I'm resting on the other side so it doesn't stay elevated. It's an up, but then I give it that big old valley to recover. And even on my power days, that's one thing that I've really changed, especially now that I've been leaning into proper power. I do big max output for 15 to 30 seconds, and then I let that heart rate come down for 90 seconds to 2 minutes. So really, we shouldn't in those bigger lifts or even power days be seeing an entire workout of elevated heart rate. That's much more for that endurance training, the HIIT style or circuit training. The other thing I'm going to say, and this is what I was saying when I was talking about that first myth, was that feeling dead after every workout is really, really bad for consistency, especially if you came in not loving to work out. Be honest. If you had to feel dead after every workout, would you want to do this for the rest of your life? I mean, I do love feeling dead. It is a toxic trait of mine. Just kidding. It's not toxic. I'm just working on it. But I do love a workout that really pushes me. It's why I fell in love with CrossFit so hard. But even I don't want that to be every workout. And if it was, I don't think I could keep doing it. I honestly think my body would probably quit. So even during HIIT workouts, which, like I was saying, are a great thing to sort of sprinkle into your strength training, you should still have exercise. You should still have energy after you exercise. So again, really being mindful of oh my gosh, did I just wreck myself for my day? And if so, I got to pull back, because during the exercise, it should feel hard. But after, we should maybe even feel an uptick in energy. Not always, but it definitely shouldn't wreck our systems for the rest of our day, and certainly not the rest of our days, plural. So pull back and listen to what your body is telling you. I think I'm coming up on 20 minutes, so I am going to skip this last myth and save it for the next time we are together. But remember, our 2 big busts that we did. More does not mean more results. And no, we should not feel dead after every workout. That no pain, no gain mentality is tired. Let's let it go. Our bodies deserve so much better, and you deserve so much better. As always, team, it means so much to me that you are taking the time to listen to this podcast. I hope you got something out of it today. If you have a fitness myth that you see popping up, or something that you're wondering if it is a myth, fitness question, etc., shoot me an email at kinsey@raiderfitacademy.com, or find me on Instagram at kinsey.does.the.fitness and drop me a DM. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to bust it if the case deserves. As always, it also means an extra lot to me if you take a hot second to rate and review the show. If it's a 5-star rating, if it's not, I totally understand, but maybe just go find another podcast that suits you better. You know what I mean? Like I said, means the world, because this puppy is a grassroots podcast. It's just little old me over here with the mic, doing the research, putting this together, hoping that it gets out into the ears of women all over the world so we can start taking care of our incredible bodies together and transition through perimenopause with ease and joy and strength. Wouldn't that be the perfect world? And we do actually have new reviews, so big thank you to M. Finley72, who titled their review Love, and then the context was love, love, love. So M. Finley72, I love, love, love you. Thank you so much for taking time to write those words. It truly means so much to know that you're getting something out of this. All right, Raiders. Myths busted. On with your beautiful day. You and your bodies are so stinking worth taking care of. Until next time, Raiders. Aroo.